Before we dive into the legendary story of John Bonham, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications. You won't want to miss any of our deep dives into rock history, iconic musicians, and untold stories from the world of music. Now, let's explore the incredible journey of one of the most influential drummers in rock history, John Bonham. In the world of rock music, few names command as much reverence as John Bonham. He wasn't just a drummer, he was a force of nature, the heartbeat that drove Led Zeppelin's meteoric rise and redefined rock music. Bonham's drumming wasn't simply rhythm. It was a primal energy fueling not only his bandmates but an entire generation of listeners. He wasn't just part of the movement, he was the movement. And yet, behind those thunderous beats and legendary performances, Bonham's story was one of both brilliance and profound struggle, a tale of a man wrestling with the very thing that made him great. John Paul Jones, Led Zeppelin's thoughtful bassist, often kept his thoughts on the band's inner workings to himself, but when the topic of Bonham arose, his words carried a weight that was impossible to ignore. Jones saw Bonham's towering genius, but also the complexity of the man behind the music. Bonham, for all his brilliance, was a paradox, a towering presence both on stage and off, often battling personal demons. Jones's insights offer a glimpse into the delicate balance Bonham navigated daily, a man with extraordinary talent, yet burdened by a struggle no one fully understood. When reflecting on Bonham's legacy, his electrifying performances stand out, each one a masterstroke that transcended technicality and became pure art. His drumming was storytelling in its most visceral form. Take Moby Dick, a song featuring one of the most famous drum solos in rock history. In Bonham's hands, it wasn't just a solo, it was a journey. No two performances were ever alike, each rendition a manifestation of his mood, spirit, and unyielding desire to push the boundaries of what was possible behind the kit. The audience wasn't just watching. They were part of a pilgrimage, carried by Bonham's raw, unrestrained energy. Then there was When the Levee Breaks, where Bonham's drums weren't just the backbone of the song, they were its soul. The iconic sound, captured through a revolutionary recording technique in the stairwell of a mansion, became one of the most recognizable sounds in rock history. The thunderous resonance of those beats, each one as powerful as a storm crashing onto the shore, redefined percussion in rock music forever. Bonham's genius wasn't just in his solos. It lay in his ability to complement every other member of Led Zeppelin. His drumming was the unspoken language of the band, tying together Robert Plant's soaring vocals, Jimmy Page's intricate guitar work, and John Paul Jones's steady bass lines. Bonham wasn't just keeping time. He was shaping the very pulse of the music, infusing each note with urgency and emotion that made the band's sound unique. His presence wasn't just felt, it was indispensable. But with brilliance came the weight of perfectionism. Bonham was relentless, a true believer in the idea that only absolute excellence would suffice. This pursuit of perfection was both a gift and a burden for the band. While his drive pushed them to new heights, it also created tensions, particularly with Robert Plant's more spontaneous approach and Jimmy Page's meticulous control over the band's direction. These conflicts were intense but ultimately birthed the sound that became the signature of Led Zeppelin: chaotic, explosive, and, at times, unsettling, but always powerful. John Bonham was a man of contrasts. On stage, he was a powerhouse, fierce, confident, unstoppable. Every performance was an explosion of passion. But off stage, Bonham was more complex. Beneath the confident exterior, he was a man battling inner demons, struggling to reconcile his larger-than-life persona with his hidden vulnerability. Those closest to Bonham saw both sides of this duality. He could light up a room with his charm and humor, but he was also capable of outbursts that created tension within the band. Bonham was unpredictable, volatile even, yet undeniably magnetic. This complexity made him both a beloved bandmate and an enigma, a man capable of inspiring love and sparking conflict. The pressures of fame, the relentless touring, and the weight of carrying Led Zeppelin took their toll on Bonham. To cope, he turned to alcohol, a decision that would prove both a refuge and his undoing. Alcohol became Bonham's crutch, offering temporary relief, but fueling reckless behavior that destabilized his relationships with those closest to him. His struggles with alcohol weren't just a tabloid story. They were a tragedy unfolding before his bandmates, friends, and family. These moments of chaos weren't just outbursts. They were cries for help, signs of a man trapped in a cycle he couldn't escape. Behind the hard-drinking persona, Bonham regretted the pain he caused, especially to his family. John Bonham's untimely death in 1980 left an indelible void in Led Zeppelin and the world of rock music. The band's decision to disband in the wake of his passing spoke volumes about how irreplaceable he was, not just as a drummer, but as the very heartbeat of their sound. Without Bonham, there could be no Led Zeppelin, and rock music would never be the same. Bonham's influence, however, transcends time. His revolutionary approach to drumming reshaped percussion in rock music and continues to inspire musicians across genres. From modern rock to progressive metal, Bonham's touch is still felt. His technical mastery and emotive playing have become the benchmark for drummers worldwide, a standard to which all others are held. But beyond his musical legacy, Bonham's story is a poignant reminder of the cost of greatness. The passion, drive, and pursuit of perfection that made him a legend also exacted a heavy price, one that Bonham tragically couldn't escape. His life, marked by both brilliance and struggle, serves as a testament to the highs and lows of creative genius. John Bonham was not just a drummer. He was an icon, a symbol of what it means to live fully and passionately, and at times, dangerously. His legacy is not only in the music he created, but in the raw, untamed spirit he brought to everything he did. His story will forever echo, in the hearts of fans and musicians alike, a reminder of the power of art to inspire, connect, and endure. Bonham's journey to musical immortality began long before Led Zeppelin. Growing up in Redditch, England, Bonham's working-class background shaped his early love for rhythm. Introduced to drumming at age 5, he began with simple drumsticks and pots and pans. His musical influences were diverse: jazz drummers, like Gene Krupa and Buddy Rich, as well as rock pioneers like Chuck Berry and Little Richard. But it was Motown that had the biggest impact, with drummers like Benny Benjamin and Uriel Jones shaping Bonham's understanding of groove, precision, and intensity. By his late teens, Bonham had already earned a reputation as a drummer with incredible speed, power, and emotional depth. He played in several local bands before landing his big break with the Band of Joy, where he met guitarist Jimmy Page. This meeting would lay the foundation for Led Zeppelin. When Jimmy Page set out to form Led Zeppelin, he knew the drummer had to possess not just technical skill, but an unmatched ability to bring raw energy to every performance. Bonham, having impressed Page in the Band of Joy, was the obvious choice. His natural feel for groove combined with power and precision was exactly what Page envisioned for the band. In 1968, Led Zeppelin was born. Bonham's explosive drumming was a perfect fit for their hard-edged, blues-influenced sound. His rhythms were thunderous yet intricate, creating a foundation that allowed Plant's soaring vocals and Page's virtuosic guitar work to shine. In a band that thrived on unpredictability, Bonham was the constant, providing the stability and power needed to push musical boundaries. From the first album, Led Zeppelin, 1969, Bonham's impact was immediate. Tracks like Good Times, Bad Times showcased his ability to marry technical skill with emotional punch. His inventive bass drum work in the intro remains iconic, but Bonham's contributions went beyond technical flourishes. He was the emotional center of many of the band's greatest tracks. As Led Zeppelin's sound evolved, Bonham's drumming became even more central. He wasn't just playing drums, he was creating the pulse of the band. Bonham's ability to capture emotion through rhythm set him apart from other drummers. Take Stairway to Heaven. While Page's guitar solo and Plant's vocals are often the focus, Bonham's drumming provides the urgency and tension, subtly propelling the song toward its iconic climax. Songs like Kashmir and Achilles' Last Stand cemented Bonham as an innovator. His drumming on Kashmir blended complex rhythms with a hypnotic Middle Eastern feel. Bonham's unorthodox approach was deliberate, taking listeners on a journey with each beat. Perhaps the most iconic example of Bonham's drumming is Moby Dick, with its legendary solo. Bonham's improvisation made each performance unique, capturing a mood that matched the song's intensity. His solos weren't about technical mastery, they were about feeling, creating a spiritual connection with the audience. What made Bonham so crucial to Led Zeppelin's success was not just his drumming, but how he embodied the band's spirit. Led Zeppelin thrived on freedom and experimentation, and Bonham's drumming was the epitome of this ethos, free-spirited, unpredictable, and endlessly inventive. He was the heartbeat of the band, infusing their music with a raw energy that made it feel alive. In interviews, his bandmates often spoke of Bonham's unspoken intuition. His ability to complement whatever the other musicians were doing was uncanny. Whether a delicate moment or a sonic explosion, Bonham was always in sync with the band, providing the perfect backdrop for their improvisations. He was the glue that held them together, the constant amidst the chaos. Bonham's role in Led Zeppelin was also one of balance. While Page's guitar soared and Plant's vocals reached ethereal heights, Bonham grounded the band with his rhythms. His drumming was the foundation of Led Zeppelin's sonic architecture. Without him, their music would have fallen apart. Despite his personal struggles, Bonham's bond with his bandmates remained strong. They understood that his genius came at a cost, and they often supported him when he needed it most. But as his drinking escalated, so did the tensions within the band. In the end, his tragic death marked the end of Led Zeppelin. John Bonham's death in 1980 was a devastating blow. He was found dead at 32 after a night of heavy drinking. His passing left a void that Led Zeppelin could never fill, and the band made the painful decision to disband shortly afterward. Despite his untimely death, Bonham's influence continues to resonate. His technical mastery, emotional depth, and sheer power behind the drums have made him an idol for countless drummers across genres. Modern rock, metal, and progressive styles owe a great deal to Bonham's innovations. His drumming remains the gold standard, a benchmark that every drummer aspires to but rarely attains. Beyond his musical influence, Bonham's story is a cautionary tale. His life, though short, was filled with extreme highs and lows. His music, however, will continue to echo in the hearts of listeners and musicians for generations.